regarding Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron. All right. What does Riverboat Ron have to do in his first 3 years as head coach of the Skins to be considered successful?
I think he's got to make the playoffs at least once.
All right.
If he doesn't make the playoffs in 3 years,
does he have to win a
time to move on, my friend.
Does he have to win a division?
No, get to the playoffs. I don't care if you win the division. Get to the playoffs.
All right, so playoff
and I think it's doable within 2 years. And if he doesn't do it in 3 years, I'm sorry, that is a failure. If you want to chime in, 800-636-1067, change the culture, do all these things. It's going to be great. Hold them accountable. You have to get wins in this league. And if you don't do it in 3 years, this is the discussion we had with Gruden years ago. Like, you guys wanted to give Gruden a little more rope than I did. It's like, it's results. And I understand there was context to it. They had injuries. Bottom line is, he's going to have Haskins. Whoever he hires is his OC, whether it's O'Connell, whether it's Norv Turner's son, Scott. They got to develop Haskins and develop this team into a winning franchise.
Yeah. Well, it looked like Gruden was on a decent track because in his second year, they did get to the playoffs.
Right. And then the next year, they were 8-7-1.
8-7-1, right. And should have been 9-7 because isn't that the season where was it Hopkins missed the kick against the Bengals? It was like a chip shot.
Yeah, and it was in London.
It was in London, right. So that would have got them the 9 wins. But, then, of course, went downhill after that. But I would agree. Playoffs doesn't have to be necessarily a division title, but playoffs in the first 3 years, at least.
Minimum.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be a little bit more.
What do you need?
I need a playoff win. Otherwise, it's just this fluke. Let's make the playoffs once every 4 or 5 years.
All right.
It's just rinse, wash, repeat here.
Okay.
Right.
Let's do something. We need something different. We're bringing in the experienced head coach.
Okay.
We're talking about the culture change. Then show me a playoff win.
All right.
Not that different. They just did it with Shanahan. Experienced head coach.
All right. Let me ask you this:
Gruden wasn't experienced, but just before that was Shanahan.
If Ron Rivera, now Snyder was obviously very patient with Gruden. If Ron Rivera does not get to the playoffs in the first 3 years, is he there for the 4th year?
No.
He might be. I would personally move on.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. There's some things which I have no idea. I've talked about this. We don't know the intricacies of the finances. I understand the equity of the team goes up. But when you have empty seats like that, I doubt they're losing money because of the TV contract. But if you're gonna give me that scenario where there's 3 straight losing years to piggyback off after what we've seen here the last 3 years, then you're talking about 6 dreadful years in a row.
Yeah.
Imagine what the stands are going to be like then.
All right, let's go to the line.
Is that going to be excitement 3 years from now? If they have a losing season next year, a losing season the following year, and a losing season in year 3 of Rivera, what's FedEx Field going to look like then?
Well, that's why I say they need to win a division title because we need to get a home playoff game to truly change the culture and get people back at FedEx.
All right, we'll see. All right, 800-636-1067. Take a few calls here.
Let's go to our pal Mo in Largo. What's up, Mo?
Good morning, fellas. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, Mo, what does Rivera have to do in the first 3 seasons to be deemed a successful hire?
Personally, I feel like 2 of the first 3 seasons need to be at least 500 or better football, preferably above 500. But I'm not going to put the stipulation on going to the playoffs because you can finish 9-7 and not make the playoffs. But if we had 3 years if 2 of those years were 9-7 and we didn't make the playoffs, I'd still say we'd be moving in the right direction. So that's what I'm looking at. At least I want to see competitive football, but at least 2 of the 3 seasons, 500 or better football. Thanks, fellas.
Makes some sense. I'd say make the playoffs at least once. That's the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. You just want to feel like you're headed in the right direction. Maybe you haven't arrived yet, but heading in the direction where you can compete for championships.
Yeah.
Not just a fluke run. So maybe I actually agree with Drab. It's got to be a little higher than just making the playoffs.
Okay.
Let's go out to Freddie in with the Junkies. What's going
on? Hey, guys.
What's up, Freddie?
I think next year we should win the division. You got 2 other teams rebuilding, starting over. Philly doesn't scare me. There's no reason we can't win this division next year. And the next time that someone says the culture in this building is damn good, it better be believable.
So
there wasn't much credibility when Bruce Allen said that.
So, Freddie, you think based on what you saw from Haskins this year, and I know he had a couple nice games towards the end of the year, but you think that Haskins can win the division next year?
I don't see why he couldn't.
Well,
it's a horrible division. 7-9 could win this division next year.
People say it's a horrible division.
These teams might
I said
be
this
better.
earlier.
Yeah,
the Cowboys underperformed. The reason why Jason Garrett is out is because the Cowboys should be much better based on the talent they have. And we'll see what happens with the Prescott contract and all that. And the Eagles just went on a 4-game run to get into the playoffs at 9-7. They're not that far removed from a Super Bowl team, and they have Carson Wentz. Like, if you just rank the quarterbacks in the division, you're either 3 or 4 with Haskins. Okay?
Of course.
Wentz and Prescott are ahead, and it's not even close.
I don't see Haskins making that sort of a leap in his second year. I don't. Year 3, maybe. That's asking a lot for Haskins to win the division. Look, you can't judge this division based on what you saw this year. These teams are going to be different next year. There's going to be different coaches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these teams are going to add players. They're going to draft new players. It's just recency effect when you say that. I just think it's a lot to ask Haskins to win a division in year 2. Vic, what's up?
Oh, I hit up Jay in Woodbridge.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jay, what's up?
Hey, guys. Hey, I agree with the last caller. I think it's playoffs this coming year. When
they won 3 games this year.
Hold on, you think they're going to go from 3-13 to 10 wins, essentially?
Hear me out. Hear me out on this. We're going to get 3 games just by improving the defensive coordinator. Just from that. And here's point 2 is when both Gruden and Shanahan came in here, I felt like those guys were facing 2- and 3-year rebuilds. I think this is just a much better roster, and they can make the playoffs this year. What do you think?
I think what you say about the defense is possible. I don't know about 3 games just based on the defense. It remains to be seen. Like, I don't know if the talent, which we've been told that there's a lot of talent on this defense, right? The first-round picks from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Montez Sweat was just drafted.
Landon Collins.
Bring in Landon Collins. You can go down the list. And on paper, you could say, yeah, it looks really talented. But why are they finishing at the bottom? Is it all because Greg Minuski was an awful defensive coordinator? Maybe. Or maybe the talent was overrated.